Hello everyone and thanks for stopping by. In today's video, I'm going to talk about Glasgow Coma Scale or your GCS. It is a reliable approach to assess an individual's neurological state. It includes your eye opening, verbal response, and motor response. So let's get started. The Glasgow Coma Scale is a tool that healthcare providers use to measure decreases in consciousness. The scores from each section of the scale are useful for describing disruptions in nervous system function and also help providers track changes. It's the most widely used tool for measuring comas and decreases in consciousness. Experts at the University of Glasgow in Scotland developed the GCS in 1974. Despite coma being part of the name, the GCS sees much wider use in medicine today. It's the most commonly used scale for measuring decreases in consciousness, including coma. What is consciousness? In the medical context, consciousness has three requirements. To be conscious, you have to be awake, alert, and oriented. Awake means this includes whether or not you have the ability to wake up because of voice or touch. That's what makes a coma different from just being asleep. Alert, this is how responsive you are to people talking to you and if you're able to understand what's happening in your immediate surroundings. Oriented, this means you know who you are, where you're at, what day it is, and other details related to the here and now. As you can see, guys, Glasgow Coma Scale is a very important tool to measure an individual's neurological state. The categories that you need to know are your eye opening, verbal response, and motor response. How to use the GCS. Number one, observe the client for eye opening, language, and body movements. If client is unable to be tested due to medications, paralysis, intubation, or similar, factor score the section as not testable. Number three, calculate the final GCS score by adding the corresponding values for the eye opening, verbal responses, and motor responses. The GCS score can range from 3 to 15. 3 least neurologically responsive and 15 most neurologically responsive. Severe neurological concerns has GCS of 3 to 8. Moderate neurological concerns has a GCS of 9 to 12. Mild neurological concerns has a GCS of 13 to 14. We always target a mild neurological concern with a GCS of 13 to 14. Nursing hint. A GCS score of 8 or less indicates the client may be unable to protect the airway and will need support. Let's discuss the components of each category for eye opening, verbal response, and motor response. As you can see, for eye opening, you score 4 points for open spontaneously, you score 3 points for open to verbal commands, you score 2 points for open to pressure, you score 1 point to no eye opening, and NT for closed by local factor. The score of 4 means that you can open your eyes and keep them open on your own. The score of 3 means you only open your eyes when someone tells you to do so. Your eyes stay closed otherwise. The score of 2, it means that your eyes only open in response to feeling pressure. And the score of 1, your eyes don't open for any reason. For verbal response, you give 5 points for oriented, 4 points for confused, 3 points for inappropriate words, 2 points for incomprehensible sounds, 1 no verbal response, and non-testable factor interfering with communication. You give a score of 5 if you're oriented. You can correctly answer questions about who you are, where you are, what the day is, what the year is. You give a score of 4 if you're confused. You can answer questions, but your answers show you're not fully aware of what's happening. You give a score of 3 if you can talk and others can understand words you say, but your responses to questions don't make sense. That is inappropriate words. You give a score of 2 for incomprehensible sounds. It means that you can't talk and can only make sounds or noises. And you give a score of 1 if you can't speak or make sounds. Let's proceed to your motor response. You give 6 points if the individual obeys commands, 5 points localizing pressure, 4 points withdrawal from pressure, 3 points for flexion to pressure or decorticate, 2 points for extension to pressure, and 1 point for no motor response and non-testable for paralyzed or other limiting factor. You give a score of 6 if you follow instructions on how and when to move. You give a score of 5 when you intentionally move away from something that presses on you. You give a score of 4 when you only move away from something pressing on you as a reflex. You give a score of 3. You flex muscle in response to pressure inward. You give a score of 2. You extend muscles or stretch outward in response to pressure. And you give a score of 1. You don't move in response to pressure. So flexion means you decorticate, and then extension means decerebrate. Again, flexion, decorticate, extension, decerebrate. So flexion to pressure or decorticate has 3 points, while extension to pressure or decerebrate has 2 points. So as an exam hint, the GCS does not assess pupil dilation or cranial nerve function. You can remember decorticate by thinking of someone hugging their core. So guys, remember decorticate is flexion and decerebrate is extension. And that's all my discussion for today. Thank you so much for listening. That concludes my video for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learn a lot from my videos. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye for now.